Let's begin with a question. How do we know the world around us? How do we learn about Earth, about ourselves? From the moment we are born, we are absorbing reality. But through which lenses? How are we grasping and learning about the world around us? Really, how do we learn? Our modern world seems to worship one way of knowing, one faculty, which is the thinking, the intellect, the analysis, the logic, which is not wrong, it's just perhaps incomplete. In this video, I will talk about what psychologist Stephen Gallegos calls the 4 windows of knowing, which are the thinking, the feeling, the sensing, and the imagining. Even more accurately, it is the heart-centered thinking, is the full body feeling, the full presence sensing, and the deep imagination. Because in order to see and learn and grasp the world around us and guide others into learning about themselves and the world, we truly need to see through all 4 windows of knowing. So there are 4 fundamental ways of knowing: thinking, feeling, sensing, and imagining. And each of these capacities is equally powerful and essential in order for us to live a whole and creative and visionary human life. Yet, they are very different one from the other, and one cannot replace the other. We tend to overvalue thinking, believing that logic and analysis alone can give us the full picture. But thinking can get us just so far. We have to know that the other 3 windows of knowing, the feeling, the sensing, the imagination, open the doors for other ways of perception and receiving the reality around us that thinking by itself cannot really do. Let's take an example. Let's imagine that you are trying to better understand a personal relationship. You might start with the thinking faculty. You might go back to the conversations that you've had with this person, trying to understand, trying to analyze the interactions, trying to make sense of what worked for you and this person and what didn't work between you and this person. And this is very helpful, but this is only touching the first layer of true deep understanding. If you engage the feeling capacity, you are shifting from analysis to the experience. You allow yourself to fully feel what does this person evoke in you. How does it make you feel? Do you feel safe around them? Do you feel loved, appreciated? Or you feel anxious or irritated or frustrated? Be curious about what emotional patterns are emerging when you are interacting with this person. Then comes the imagination capacity, the ability we have to transport ourselves into their world, to see the life through their lenses, to feel how it is to hold what they are holding, such as their hopes, their dreams, their struggles, their questions. Maybe we even notice something that they carry that we haven't noticed before. Maybe we find out new things about this person. This is very much connected with empathy and with understanding the other perspective. And finally, there is the sensing capacity. Next time you are with this person, try to pay attention, to observe everything. Pay attention to to the way they move. Pay attention to the way they carry themselves, the way they speak, the hesitations that are in the conversation, the way they breathe. And notice how does that affect you and influence you and your knowing about this connection you have with this person. Each of these ways of knowing, meaning thinking, feeling, imagining, and sensing, they reveal something different, something new about the connection with this particular person that we had as an example. Altogether, they paint a richer, a deeper, a fuller expression of the truth. And if this is true for one relationship, imagine that this might be true for all our relationships. Imagine how this changes our perception and our way of seeing the whole world. Let's explore them now, one by one. And we will start with the heart-centered thinking. And in fact, we will start this with a poem. I will read you a poem by David Whyte. It's called Sometimes. Sometimes, if you move carefully through the forest, breathing like the ones in the old stories, who could cross a shimmering bed of leaves without a sound, you come to a place whose only task is to trouble you with tiny but frightening requests, conceived out of nowhere, but in this place beginning to lead everywhere. Requests to stop what you are doing right now and to stop what you are becoming while doing it. Questions that can make or unmake a life. Questions that have patiently waited for you. Questions that have no right to go away. Perhaps these questions and requests that David Whyte is speaking about in his poem are actually coming from this place of heart-centered thinking. When we speak about thinking in the context of the 4 windows of knowing, we are not referring to the shallow thoughts and superficial thoughts that are rushing in our mind in a certain kind of loop. Mainly, we're not referring to calculations or judgments or opinions that are rehearsed. Heart-centered thinking is the kind of thinking that, well, it's not separated from the heart, but is deeply rooted in presence, in deep inquiry, in the courage to stay with the uncertainty. It's the kind of thinking that asks what is deeply meaningful rather than what is useful. It does not seek quick answers, but rather stays with the complexity of life, with paradox, with the depth that each question is bringing. Heart-centered thinking is the wisdom keeper from the 4 windows of knowing. It's the one that holds the ability to connect dots across time, integrating past experience with present understanding, offering clarity that is not coming merely from the intellect, but also from the soul. It is the kind of thinking that guides visionaries and true adults and elders and the ones that are walking the path of being lovers of the earth. We might ask ourselves, are we truly thinking or are we merely reacting? Are we using our mind in order to deepen our wisdom, or we are using our mind in order to confirm something that we already believe in? To think with the heart is to think courageously and patiently and lovingly, with devotion to earth, It is not an act only of the mind. It's an act of the soul too. Here's a poem that will introduce us to the second window of knowing that we are going to explore, meaning the full presence sensing. Allow It by Robert Howe. Allow it to find you, to take you, and run itself through your body like the most sensuous saxophone you could ever imagine or allow yourself to feel. Let it in. Let it take you to places you've never known. Just trust the player, 'cause the tune is unlike anything else you've ever tasted. It's nectar. It's the place where words begin and end, serving as accents to the melody playing out right now. Let it find you, and when you do, allow it to run through and saturate every fiber of your being. To truly know the world, we have to allow it in, to allow it to find us, to take us, to allow it to feel it with our whole body. Full presence sensing is not only seeing the world with the sight or the hearing, it's about opening all the doors of perception, the smelling, the touch, the taste, the movement. They're all portals that are inviting us deeper into life, deeper into this magnificent world. In this way, the world does not remain an abstract concept, but a fully alive, breathing presence. How often do we rush through life, numbed by distractions, barely tasting the food, barely feeling the earth beneath our feet, barely noticing the ever-changing sky? Yet, when we are awakening our senses, all our senses, the world becomes alive. We can feel the heartbeat of the world. The way the magpie is flickering her wings in the sky, the way the wind is playing with the leaves and the branches, the way we feel the smell of earth before and after rain, the way we touch the snow that is freshly on the earth. These are all teachers, these are all information through which we are learning about the world and about ourselves. This is not only about keen awareness, it is about belonging. When we fully feel the world, we are not separated from it. We are it. We are the world. We are the flicker of the magpie's wings. We are the snow. We are the earth that is receiving the rain. We are the world. In this way, we become attuned to the unspoken language of existence, learning not just through logic, but through the very fabric of reality itself. To sense fully is to fully be alive, meaning embracing the world not only through our minds, but through our eyes and through our skin and breath and blood and bones. This is how we become more and deeply in tune and connected and one with the world. Now let's talk about the third window of knowing, which is full-bodied feeling. And let me read you again a poem, this time a poem by Rumi. It's called Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Rumi tells us that emotions, feelings are guides sent from beyond, that they are teachers. Every wave of joy or flicker of anger or pulse of fear is an invitation, something like a doorway towards a deeper understanding, towards deeper balance or wholeness. Mad, sad, glad, bad, scared. Every emotion is a lesson. And depending on the type of emotion, meaning bad versus sad, they are pointing to a particular kind of lesson about ourselves or about a relationship with another person or with the world. And every type of emotion is also pointing to a certain kind of action that we should or might take in order to bring perhaps the balance in the world. When we feel hurt, for example, the lesson that is built on in the appearance of hurt or anger might evoke some questions. Something like, what do I believe that I deserve? How do I feel about how I want others to treat me? Or how can I be, in fact, also part of the problem? When we feel sad, these questions might be useful. What do I love or admire or desire, as in a thing, a person, a relationship, an opportunity that I have lost? What does my love and desire and admiration say about who I am in the world? What do I have that I cannot bear to lose it? What can I do to keep the loss from happening or getting worse? Or, if it's too late, how can I honor and grieve that which I have lost? When we feel bad, guilty, or ashamed, we might ask ourselves questions like, what is expected of me? And what do I expect from myself? What are the right ways for me to be or to act? Or how can I make things better to improve the relationship with others? Or by employing that certain behavior, did I step over one of my values? When we feel glad, it's also worth it to ask ourselves some questions. Something like, what makes my world more complete, better, more meaningful? What do I rejoice in? How do I celebrate life or praise life? Do I even know how to celebrate and praise something that just happened, something that I accomplished? When we feel afraid, is there an actual danger? And if it is, how can it be avoided or how can it be approached cautiously? How can we take care of ourselves? Let's dive now into the last window of knowing, which is the window of deep imagination. We often treat imagination as childish, as fantasy, as play. But in fact, The capacity to imagine is one of the most powerful instruments that a human has in order to know themselves and the world around. Through deep imagination, we can ask ourselves, what are the different ways that I can be in the world? Or what is possible beyond what I was told that is possible? Every child is born with a wild and fertile imagination. And yet, in most of our cultures nowadays, the imagination is shut down in schools, in institutions, in society in general. Why? Maybe because deep imagination is dangerous. It creates freedom. It gives access to revelation, to uniqueness, to transformation. It challenges control. To reclaim imagination is to reclaim the ability to dream, to create, to envision a world beyond the one that we have inherited. And this is why imagination is so essential to human development. Through deep imagination, we reach into the unseen, uncovering truths that the other three windows cannot grasp. Deep imagination is the womb of creativity, is the birthplace of myth and poetry and wild metaphors that are shaping the deepest understanding of who we are and our place in the world. It allows us to walk between the worlds, to grasp into someone else's experience, to listen to the whispers of the land, and to convey with the mysteries that are guiding us. Without deep imagination, we are exiled from the vast and rich territory of our own landscapes. We become blind to the deeper layers of existence, trapped in the surface of things. But when we welcome the images that rise unbidden, when we listen to the stories that form in the quiet of our being, we remember, knowing it's not about facts, it's about meaning. So we must ask, what dreams are waiting to speak? What visions are calling our attention? What lies beneath the surface of our attention that is waiting to be unearthed? To engage deep imagination is to reclaim the language of the soul. To trust it is to step into a world much wider, much larger than the one that we know already. I will also read a poem about imagination, but first I want to tell you about intuition. Stephen Gallegos notes that intuition can come through any of these four windows of knowing. And depending on each individual, some would prefer that intuition is coming through one or another window of knowing. For some of us, intuition arrives as an image, a vision of something that has to happen, has to be manifested in the world. For others, intuition mostly comes from the feeling window, something like a gut feeling, a strong emotion that is signalizing them to go this way or that way. For others, intuition comes from a deep thought, something like kind of out of nowhere. I have this revelation, I have this rooted thought that I should do or try or engage in the world in this way. And for others, intuition is more based on the sensing window, through how the wind is moving and inspiring them with an idea, or how they feel chills in their body when they are hearing a certain kind of story or being in the presence of another person. And of course, intuition can come through all the four windows of knowing, and maybe one in particular is the strongest for you. And I'm inviting you to reflect upon that. Which is the window of knowing that is mostly cultivated inside of me, and which is the one that still needs a little bit more attention? Knowing that grasping the world is important for all the windows to be widely open. As promised, here is a poem that would for sure stir your imagination and also the other windows of knowing. The poem is called Rant by Diane Di Prima. You cannot write a single line without a cosmology, a cosmogony laid out before all eyes. There is no part of yourself you can separate out, saying, this is memory, this is sensation, this is the work I care about, this is how I make a living. It is whole. It is a whole. It always was whole. You do not make it so. There is nothing to integrate. You are a presence. You are an appendage of the work. The work steams from your hands, from the heaven you create. Every man, every woman carries a firmament inside, and the stars in it are not the stars in the sky. Without imagination, there is no memory. Without imagination, there is no sensation. Without imagination, there is no will, desire. History is a living weapon in your hand, and you have imagined it. It is thus that you find out for yourself history is the dream of what it can be. It is the revelation between things in a continuum of imagination. What you find out for yourself is what you select out of an infinite sea of possibility. No one can inhabit your world. Yet, it is not lonely. The ground of the imagination is fearlessness. This course is videotape of a movie, of a shadow play, but the puppets are in your hand. Your counters in a multidimensional chess, which is divination and strategy. The war that matters is the war against the imagination. All the other wars are subsumed in it. The ultimate famine is the starvation of the imagination. It is death, to be sure. But the undead seek to inhabit someone else's world. The ultimate claustrophobia is the syllogism. The ultimate claustrophobia is it all adds up. Nothing adds up, and nothing stands in for anything else. The only war that matters is the war against the imagination. The only war that matters is the war against the imagination. The only war that matters is the war against the imagination. All other wars are subsumed in it. There is no way out of the spiritual battle. There is no way to avoid taking sides. There is no way you cannot have a poetics, no matter what you do. Plumber, baker, teacher. You do it in the consciousness of making or not making your world. You have a poetics. You step into the world like a suit of ready-made clothes, or you etch in light. Your firmament spills into the shape of your room, the shape of the poem of your body, of your loves. A woman's life, a man's life, is an allegory. Dig it. There is no way out of the spiritual battle. The war is the war against the imagination. You can't sign up as a conscientious objector. The war of the worlds hangs here, right now, in the balance. It is a war for this world to keep it a veil of soul-making. The taste in all our mouths is the taste of our power, and it is bitter as death. Bring yourself home to yourself. Enter the garden. The guy at the gate with the flaming sword is yourself. The war is the war of the human imagination, and no one can fight it but you, and no one can fight it for you. The imagination is not only holy, it is precise. It is not only fierce, it is practical. Men die every day for the lack of it. It is vast and elegant. Intellectus means light of the mind. It is not discourse, it is not even language. The inner sun, the polis, is constellated around the sun. The fire is central.